Glenn Saldanha, CMD at Glenmark Pharmaceuticals, joins us in the show right now. Glenn, hi, morning. Talk about what the True North deal was all about and what really was the need to sell the two therapies.
So we basically did a collaboration with True North where we got them to come in and partner on our orthopedic business. Basically, they're bringing in the capital and helping us grow that business, and together we're hoping to create value as a whole. As you know, India for us is a very, very strong market, and we continue to be among the fastest growing companies in India. We had like a 25+% growth in the last month as per IMS. So very strong business. We continue to grow each and every segment in India, especially the derm segment, the respiratory, and orthopedics was one where the growth was kind of flattish. So we thought it's a good idea to bring True North to actually come and further that business.
Okay. Do you expect more such sales of businesses and therapies? Is that your strategy?
Well, we don't anticipate collaborating. I mean, the rest of our portfolio continues to do exceedingly well. So we don't anticipate doing any collaborations on the rest. But this was one unique opportunity which we thought Glenmark and True North together could further the franchise.
Great. Reports are also suggesting that the API business is up for sale. Can you clarify on that, Glenn?
Well, we've subsidized the API business, and there is a possibility over time we may bring in a minority investor, but that again is to continue to grow that business and to fuel that business.
Right. But what we are given to understand is that PE players are eyeing 20% of Glenmark API. I wouldn't really see that as minority.
Well, as I said, there's nothing on the cards yet. We are still in the decision-making process, but clearly the intent is over time there is a possibility that we may do a minority divestiture.
I mean, what's your own qualification of minority? Because as I'm given to understand, and you may want to confirm these numbers, that the API business is valued at about 8,000 crores with 10% revenue potential.
Well, I mean, I can't comment any further on it, right? Other than the fact that we've subsidized that business, and over time there's a possibility we may bring in a minority investor.
Let's shift focus and Glenn, let's talk about API prices from China. Is the increase in raw material cost a big worry for the sector?
I think obviously there's a significant slowdown. I mean, China with improving their effluent norms, there is a lot of shutdown of facilities in China, and supply is a big constraint for the entire sector. I think we've done a good job in mitigating some of the risks there by planning alternate suppliers, by making some of the intermediates ourselves. So we've not got hit in the quarter, and I don't think going forward we will see a significant impact on account of that. But I think the industry as a whole will continue to face some pressure on account of China supplies, the shortage of supplies of APIs.
Mr. Glenn, this is Pankaj joining in from the studios as well. I just wanted a confirmation. There is an exchange notification which has come in about the API unit, and you mentioned it briefly that it has been transferred to a subsidy. It's not being sold right now, right? That's what I wanted to clarify.
It's being subsidized into a 100% holding company. So it's 100% owned by Glenmark, and over time there is a possibility that we may look at bringing in a minority investor.
You spoke about the possibility of a minority investor, and in the previous answer, you said that the API business itself is seeing some supply constraints, especially from the raw material. So do you expect players like you who have integrated API, who have API to be sold abroad, will get good valuation for those businesses, which right now, the sales may be looking much weak compared to the overall sales?
Clearly, we see a great future for APIs out of India because of all the changes that are happening in the Chinese environment, right? Very clearly with China, seeing, with the Chinese situation, right, of short supplies, we think India will continue to become a major API destination. And that will help sales for both, not just Glenmark, but the entire industry on the API side. That's our view in the long term about how it's going to play out.
The API strength of Glenmark, what is the size of the business? What is the sort of valuation that you would ascribe to that business? What can be a perfect strategic fit? People can just get you capital, but what can be a big strategic step forward or a big strategic fit for this business if you ever want to sell any stake?
Well, clearly we haven't even decided to actually bring in a minority investor. It's just something that's possible on the cards in the future. So right now, the business continues to do well. On a standalone basis, it's about roughly around a 1,500 crore business for Glenmark, and we think over time it'll continue to grow double digits from here on, and with the Chinese situation in terms of supplies, there is additional opportunities both in terms of scaling this even further as well as margin improvements from this business.
Right. So just a last word on the US pricing pressure or the US business as a whole. The numbers so far from various companies has been mixed. You saw a big slump down for Lupin in terms of their business. On the other hand, you had some of the other companies growing. Your company has done decently well in the US markets if you adjust for Zetia. How would you describe the pricing pressure at this point of time and incremental view on any pricing pressure in US?
Well, I think the pricing environment has moderated a little bit in the US. We still see pricing pressure, but we think it is moderating. You've got we have a bunch of launches that happened towards the end of Q1, like Colsovelum tablets, Colsovelum suspension, Tacrolimus. I think all these products will positively contribute to Q2. So we think Q over Q, you should see growth in the US environment.
Right, Mr. Saldanha, thank you so much for taking out time for us. Always good to chat with you.